Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching GEEKCASTER, everything sci-fi, fantasy, and pop culture commentary. I'm Seven, we've got Drew, and we've got Corey, and we're live.
Hey-o.
Yo. How you guys feeling today?
All right. It feels like, I don't know, it's not quite Sunday. It's like some weird nebulous day in between. It's like that kind of not quite work week, but it's definitely not the weekend anymore type of feel. But all right.
For sure.
It's cold.
It's cold. Well, you have a very fitting hoodie for that. The Marvel hoodie. I like that. So, this is the year review.
I was just saying, like, marking that it was like, what did you say, 9 degrees or something? Are you at, Corey?
-5. Feels like -5. So we're just going to go with -5.
Wow. That's crazy. So this is the year review. This is 2025. The best, the worst, the prettiest, the ugly. This is what we're talking about this year. Probably won't agree on everything, but we're all going to give our opinions. So let's go. And there's some stuff we probably didn't even see or didn't all see. So whoever saw it, you have the floor on that one. So let's start out with Magazine Dreams, a film we didn't ask for, but we got anyway.
You saw it?
I saw it. I'm actually going to probably see it again tonight, just to clarify a couple things. But this was like a last minute thing for me, starting off with the one I just saw like maybe a week ago.
Right.
It's it's Jonathan Majors. It's, I want to say, like his first major role since doing the Marvel stuff. I want to say, I could be wrong. But it's basically, he's a bodybuilder and he has aspirations of being Mr. Universe? Mr. Universe, I think. The top accolade for like bodybuilding in his division. And watching it was in the same vein of like Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage, or like Black Swan, where it's about someone very obsessive about what they do, or what their like goal. They're so obsessive about it that they're just nuts over it, or they're nuts anyway. And this is just the focus for that. But Jonathan Majors plays a character whose highest aspiration is being a professional bodybuilder, and the dude is just whacked. The dude is just a crash out, and the film plays itself out in like I think we've referenced it before. It's kind of like it plays out in little vignette chapters almost. And it's just different instances in this dude's life to where you see how he gets down, and each scene is just marked with, as normal as the scene may start off, by the end of it, you know something in like is just going to go awry with this dude and how he gets down, and his obsession over being someone effectively, just being like the best of just, what he does.
Right. Well, he's a good actor. Are we all on the agreement? Agreement?
Yeah, he's great in it. It's what keeps me in for most of it, because it's very uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable watch. He does a lot of like what I guess the kids would call cringy stuff, and he does. Okay. But it's just watching him do his thing as that character. It's something to behold. And,
do you think
it's not a go ahead.
And I'm sure as a human being, I'm sure at this point he just wants to move forward from everything. Would you say that this stuff that happened in the past legally, but would you say that this is one of those films that cement, hey, I'm a good actor, this is what I do, you guys know me as an actor, this is my job, let's focus on what I do and what I do well? Did this film do it for him?
For him, yeah. Overall, I think people didn't quite like the film. I don't think it was reviewed very well.
Okay.
But for him, man, yeah, this is like another case of, look, dude, I'm just going to buckle down and go the Robert Pattinson route and just focus on acting and just whatever you've heard about them on the outside. Right. He's just more focused on the role. I definitely will say this is a good display of, like, dude, whatever his personal life was going on, it was like whatever he was doing in his personal life, it doesn't tarnish the fact that the dude commits. There's a character that he committed to, and it's not an honorable mention. It's my five for the year. But
Can he get
yeah,
Best Actor? Is he up for Best Actor?
I don't think he's up for anything.
Well, that's
I don't
unfair.
think this.
So that's the thing about this movie, though. 2023, this movie was supposed to be released, but because of his legal issues in 2023, I think they held it, and it just got released this year. So it's a bit of a technicality for it being a
It came out
2025
in
movie.
2025, so yeah, it's there's movies that were filmed 2-3 years ago. People have Stranger Things on their list. That's been in production for years. So by the hair of its chin, sure, but it's still in there for 2025. And it did got held back because all the weird public stuff that was going through at the time. But if it's not the greatest film ever made, but for me, 2025 is definitely one that stood out, and in particular for how he got down in that one. His acting is top notch in that one.
It used to be a thing with the awards for Best Actor. Someone could win and not necessarily have the most popular film. Someone could win for their acting, not just, oh, everyone crowded around this one particular film, so they're going to win. I don't know if he's up for this, but should he be? Regardless if it was a great script or great direction or even an interesting story that we needed for what he does, do you think it's possible that he could win some awards?
Make that call, and with the way that people in the industry move, it's a big old circle tug. So you have things that completely don't need to be on the list that'll get all the awards, and then things like that are you've never heard of that probably could have been up for something, if not all the awards, get nothing. So with how weird and chummy clicky the Academy and all those big wigs tend to be, maybe this could have been up for something. If not acting, I think maybe like Best Lead, he could have been up for something like that.
Right.
But it's a hard sell. I don't know, considering like all the public stuff, and that will definitely tarnish. Even the best film won't get anything if you have like some social stain on you. But
Right.
that is what that is.
Right. Well, we've seen many actors go through a lot of drama and get a chance to move forward. So I hope that Majors gets that same opportunity because he actually is a good actor. I don't say that about a lot of the people out there. Yeah.
They can't take that from him, at least. But yeah, it's just something to check out.
Yeah. All right. Stephen
he's not
King,
going anywhere.
The Long Walk, the movie that you knew what it was about before you even saw it.
Everything, yeah, it's all on the tin. It's right there. I would say this one for me because it was one of the better Stephen King adaptations I've seen. Well, we've been on a pretty good streak with Stephen King adaptations for the last few years, I would say.
Right.
We've gotten progressively better at making just those properties, I think, stick more in the medium of film and television. The Long Walk is one, to briefly state it. Welcome to Derry and Way of television shows is another example that I think is probably some of the best TV I've seen in years. For me, it's like the replacement of Stranger Things, which is it's in its last season. So it's been good. It was good. Long Walk was good. Acting in that one was good. It's a nice little allegory, I think, to young men being sent out to basically be sacrificed for the corporate government machine, whatever you have it. And the camaraderie and like that kind of boy friendship that you have going on, that was well portrayed. And I think that's it does everything that says right on the tin. It's the Long Walk. So you know what you're getting.
Well, since you mentioned it, let's jump in because, like you said before, in one of the shows, this was because it's not that much going on. It's more about building relationships and the tension within those relationships. So would it be fair to say, writing-wise, it felt almost like a play? Where it's
you could very easily, I think, make a play version of this where they're just walking the whole time on like a big treadmill. And it's effectively the question of why would you guys become friends if you all know that only one of you can win this? And I think it was, who's the one actor, dude, that was in the last Alien movie as the synthezoid? He plays basically guy number 2 in this one. I can't remember what his name is. I think he's British.
Oh, I know you're talking about, yeah.
So, he has like the scar on his face in
Right.
The Long Walk. He basically says, just because we're on this trek, basically to death, doesn't mean we have to be like strangers. I think there's more of an incentive for us to be friends in this than to just be adversaries. It was an interesting take. Dumb, but interesting.
So the thing I took about from the long walk, I thought it was very military heavy in the allegories. Like Mark Hamill, right? He played the major. He played a caricature of all of the top brass and people, what we think are supposed to sound like and how they're supposed to push and motivate people. And everyone who is taking this walk, it was like a mix of like Vietnam hippies against the war, against the government, but everyone is going through the camaraderie of what you do gain when you go through boot camp. So I thought it was very well written. I can't see it as a play, but I do think they did a decent job. But I do agree with Drew that Welcome to Derry is way, way better. It's a much better watch.
Okay. Well, let's move to Derry. That intro, as soon as they started, it was crazy.
I love the show's intro, bro.
That
let's
intro
not
is
move
crazy.
To Derry, but let's not move there. But I do love how they like bring you into the world with that show and those kind of like 1950s Americana. Like they're supposed to be idyllic posters and like little like wish you were here cards, but when you look at them, they're horrifying.
Right.
It's nightmare fuel, and then you have that song going on, that happy-go-lucky song that you just it knows how to draw you in. And I think with the scares that they fashioned in the show and the fact that they have no mercy for these kids.
None.
There ain't no plot armor for these kids. You can get it in this show if you're a kid. And it has some of the most brutal kills I've seen in just horror joints in the last decade. But the fact that they do it to kids, it's like, oof, no mercy. And the nightmare scenarios I think this is probably a better portrayal of him than maybe even the films. Because when it comes to how he will mess with whatever he knows your fear, whatever your trauma, whatever your fear is, he takes that and forges the horror landscape that he takes you in. Ronnie, the little black girl in that one, Ronnie, she got probably the worst one thus far.
Yep.
With that whole thing of she envisioned herself being in her mom's womb, it was like a nightmare of her being inside her mom.
Yeah.
And
That gave me a new fear that I didn't even know I had.
Okay, you know how mad you got at me because I spoiled that scene? Understand, I was traumatized. Some kind of like still reeling from that scene, bro. That was crazy when she like is trying to like claw herself away, but she's still stuck by the umbilical cord. Right. Dude, that was something viscerally just horrific that just is still with me about that scene.
The best thing about that is that they dragged it on. It just kept going, and I'm like...
Yeah, Ronnie was in it, bro. That poor kid, she got it probably the worst.
No
and then
mercy.
later on in the show, because Kid Logic, they get the bright idea of trying to go down into the sewers. And if you see anything scary, we'll take these Percocets. We'll take my mom's happy pills. I'm like, y'all, 3 each. I'm like, y'all are gonna die.
It made sense. In Kid World, it made sense. The more we take, the less we'll be afraid.
Right. The Rugrats logic, but they take 3. They go down there tripping. They're having a whole OG Mako video playing in their heads. What do you see right now? I'm like, y'all are, the kids, man. But yeah, definitely a good show. I liked how they mix the time period stuff.
Right.
There's some kind of like modern social commentary stuff when it comes to like political stuff, race politics. Not quite the angle of we're in like the racist part of the world, but you definitely do have elements of it there. They don't beat you over the head with it.
Right, but it's there.
But the undercurrent is definitely there, as it is often, and I would say in real life too. It's not blatantly in your face all the time. Right. It's usually subtle. And it's usually some like weird low-key social stuff that people will pull out in the wild. So, good show. Great Stephen King stuff. Great adaptation. I think it added to the character and the franchise more than possibly even the new films and the old Tim Curry joint did. But I'm in for that.
All right,
That's the one thing I don't see any modern take on it. But I do think, again, this is probably the best pilot episode I've seen in a long time. Scariest one, best one, well-written one. But with the socio-commentary that you're talking about, it just seems like an ode to the past, more like Green Book, more like, all those types of films. I don't see any modern-day echoes.
Let's go to Weapon, since we're going through stuff with kids. As I'm falling apart over here. Sorry, fellas.
Problem.
Weapons. It seems like this is a year for using children for horror.
It's
Yeah.
I'd say so, or at least not. I think Stranger Things. I got to give some credit to them for doing that. The idea
Right.
that you're going to write this
Right.
layered, adult-ish thing, but it features kids, and they portray the kids in like that's more realistic, and they're more, I guess, palatable for like multiple seasons or a whole like thing. Weapons. For me, that's just one of the best movies I've seen in a minute.
Right.
Period, horror, or otherwise. Just
Right.
with how it was filmed, the pacing, the way it was shot.
Right.
Only to be rivaled, I would say, by Severance, which we'll get to in a minute. But like the way that it was shot, the way that they play it out in the vignettes, it's chaptered to where each character you get a perspective over the
Right.
same course of like time, and maybe a little bit before, depending on what happens later on. And yeah, man, I just everything about it for me just worked. And plus, I had Julia Garner being cute in it, so I'm like, all right, this is a win. Take it. She's usually good. She's a good little actress. I've watched her in Ozark. She was really good in Ozark, and then she just kept showing up and stuff. And I'm like, dang, she kind of crushes it, and she's kind of cute. So it's like, you know what? She's in there.
The comparison between Weapons and Severance is a good comparison. However, I would like them to be flip flop. Like I can see Severance more as a movie than a TV show, and Weapons as a TV show more than a movie.
Interesting.
Maybe so. I partially agree with you. If they made Severance into a 2-hour movie, particularly for season 2, we'll get on that in a second.
Right.
But Severance season 1, I like the chapter to chapter bit where you're dipping around and you're just in Lumen. You're just in the belly of the beast, and you don't know why they're there. They don't know why they're there. But piece by piece, you start to figure out, okay, this is the world, this is the scope, and this is kind of like what the overarching problem or question is.
Do you find the reason why you say that, Corey, is because there were so many? I guess there's so much more to the characters and the stories. There are definitely more ways that they could tell that story. Go deeper into the witch. Go deeper into each individual. But
Exactly.
and I see what you're saying, and that is true. That is possible. But I like the fact it isn't drawn out. I like the fact that there is mystery. You don't know.
You don't get all the answers.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it's set up more like a Welcome to Derry kind of story pacing, I think it
Okay.
works.
Okay.
Whereas Severance, it's a little dragged on too much. Like you get
Okay.
5 minutes of story in like a 40-minute block. So it's a
Severance-
lot of wasted space in there in between. So that's why I would much rather see it as a movie, like a 2-hour, 2.5-hour, 3-hour movie.
You could do Severance as a 2-hour movie. I would say back to Weapons though. I don't think it would work as a series just because past a point it has to end. The kids can be missing for a while, but unless you're talking like an 8 to 9 episode miniseries, it's gonna kind of wear out its welcome. And I don't think we need to expand any more on Gladys than we did. I think she exists better as just. We don't know who or what Gladys was exactly, but we know that she was old. When she's using words like consumption in 2024, 2025, you're like, what year are you from, miss? When were you born exactly? We don't need to go back and get to see her in the old Pilgrim days and stuff. Just leave her a mystery. Severance, if you made it into like part 1, maybe not, wouldn't work as a film. Part 2, season 2, you could have relegated that to 2-3 hours. Because they spend my biggest gripe, Corey, where you were saying you didn't like season 2 as much. I see where you're coming from, and my explanation for that was they meander too much in season 2.
Way too much.
There's a very simple motive: find Miss Casey and we all get out. Right? That was the mission that Mark starts in season 2. He. Not spoiling anything, I'm not going to say whether they get there or not. But after that, they go on work retreats. You got people doing stuff outside the office. You got Helen, softcore, hating on herself for messing with Mark as Helly at the job. There's a lot of like empty fluff that they could have maybe glossed over. But I was hoping that season 2 would have focused more on how do we travel in the Lumen building. They have that whole video where it's like the Lumen building, like a cartoon, explaining himself. I'm like, okay, so they're gonna go to the different floors. We're gonna see the different offices and departments and stuff. They kind of do that, but again, they meander a lot.
Yeah, they definitely lost themselves in season 2. Season 1, there's so much lore here, and mystery, and the reveals and plot twists. It was set up way better than season 2. And season 2, like you said, they meandered. They went deeper into the lore than necessary. We got a whole bunch of information that wasn't relevant to anything.
A lot of extemporaneous like information and stuff about here that we didn't necessarily need. But I will say what season 2 does give us more of that season 1 didn't is character focus. We get more motive. We get to see them kind of like function and fight themselves inside and outside of work.
Mm-hmm.
They even start Lumen even starts pissing off Mr. Milchek, who's my favorite character.
Which is why he blew up, and I'm so glad that he did blow up.
Milchek he is my guy. He's a villain. He is a villain. I have no delusion about that. He is a villain in the show, but he's like the kind of neutral villain that's trying to make order of it. And they even start pissing him off with the office shenanigans. So, devour feculence. I love that scene. Devour feculence.
Well, speaking of things with multiple series, and you guys had it here, and I'm glad that you put this in. The White Lotus. White Lotus, their tension writing is really, really good.
Really great.
But did this season become a caricature of past seasons, or did they take it to the next level? What do you think?
I think they just stayed part of the course. I don't think that they did anything new, and I don't think they dwelled on anything in the past. I do like how every season there's a new location, there's new people.
Right.
So you don't get any repetitious storyline. So I think it was part of the course. I think it was very well done.
Did you get a chance to see this, Drew, or no?
I haven't, so I can't weigh in. But I see posters of it, and I'm skipping trailers for it all the time on my ads. But it's something that's on the list. Yeah. It's on the backlog.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad in a way, because part 2 was definitely connected, had a strong connection. Part 1, and so this was interesting that it didn't, but it still had the same feel. There's a part of me that wanted to get certain places in the story faster, because you're just waiting. You're waiting to either see the connections from part 1 or part 2. It's like season 1, season 2, and they didn't exist. Except for there's one character, right, that's connected, right?
One,
but loosely.
Yeah, very loosely, and that's what I like about this show.
Okay.
Well, actually, no. There's 2. Well, one season 1, one is season 2. But right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So there's that. Let's see here. What else? Because I don't want to. We have a long list here. But overall,
long list.
If you're a writer or like dialogue and like tension, but not tension having to do with like gore and the jump scares and stuff like that, they do a really good job. The writers do a really good job. The editing and for sure, 100%. All right, so let's go to The Residents. I've seen things for this, but I haven't jumped in. Which one of you saw Residents, and what did you like or did not like about it?
That would be me. Okay. I thought that we've all heard of Knives Out. We've seen a lot of Agatha Christie's, Hercule Poirot's movies. Mm-hmm. I thought that this was a great ode to the detective genre in a series format. And it is a fun watch. And it is very misdirecting on who do you think did it. It's a fun watch. It's definitely must watch of 2025.
Nice. All right. I know we have a lot of cool stuff. Let's switch gears to this is the year for anime. Like, this is definitely, as far as anime being in the theaters, there's so many deals that are set forth to release first in theaters and then to go to streaming, but in a larger way than we've seen before. Why is anime doing this so well? And let's start out with Demon Slayer.
Ooh, why is it doing it so well? That's a
Yeah.
good question. I
Like, why
think
now? I mean, it's always had fans, but why now? And do you think Demon Slayer is leading the way on this?
I'd say opportunity. There were a few things that went the exact thing I couldn't say, but I would say a factor of it or a component of it is that there's just an opening. People are getting real selective on what they see in the theaters, and anime has gotten so big and popular now that you have enough people in the fan base to constitute an entire wave of folks checking out a theater run, and giving people, I guess, how could I explain it? Giving people, I guess, that experience in the theater.
So let's do this because this is really good, and especially all the stuff that you're working on, Drew, and have worked on, your expertise. Let's quickly try to jump in because we definitely got to do another episode because no way to get through all these.
Yeah, we're not doing all this in 30 minutes.
There's no way. There's no way. All right. Well, let's end with this because I know Sinners. Sinners is definitely a big talk of a possible sweep. Now it's been what, almost a year later. What's your take on Sinners as far as being one of the best films of 2025?
I don't agree with that statement. I think it was decent, but I don't think it was the best film of 2025. I think we're riding the Michael B. Jordan coattails, and I think if you really did watch the movie, I think the movie left something to be desired. Like it didn't really get to the point of what it was trying to achieve, but it was good for what it was. But I don't think it was the best movie of 2025.
True.
Your take 7, Corey's take on it. I'm like, why are we need to really dig deep to find bad things to say about this movie.
It's all opinion. It's all opinion. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything yet.
Opinion. I don't. Well, no, you said it before. That's why I bring you into it now.
Right.
I'm like, where are you guys? What version of this movie did you guys see? Is this a bootleg version y'all saw?
I saw it in the theaters and at home.
Yeah.
And the same
Sinners
thing
did
I said.
Exactly what it did what it wanted to do, y'all. What was supposed to have happened in that movie to make everyone like
a story?
I guess be of one voice on it.
A well-cooked story.
Look, just because you didn't choose to go back and be a good little preacher boy because Daddy said so doesn't mean that you didn't have an arc 7. I'm sorry, I still disagree with you on that.
No. The whole premise of Sinners is it was supposed to take the history of the South and make it into a horror film, and we got none of that. We got a gangster going to Chicago, coming back to a small town, and then all of a sudden there's a vampire here. There's no lore. There's no Black history of the Southern roots tied into what they were pushing this movie to be.
There's not a bunch of woes me we're getting whooped and the cotton. They had the shots of the cotton fields. I kind of thought was annoying to me anyway, but I get that was the timeline. That was where they were.
That's not what I'm saying though.
I guess, but focusing on the whole bleak history of it, they have whole conversations about what life was like in Jim Crow South. It permeates throughout the entire freaking film. So when I hear this, I'm like, this is an empty argument. Because all the things you guys are saying is not there totally in this movie. It's just not laser focused on just focusing on the one thing the whole time. It's one part crime drama, the rest is horror movie. The same way that Robert Rodriguez did From Dusk Till Dawn. It's the same style. They even bring it back at the end
glad you said
and
that.
make sure that we kill the KKK by the end of it. So when we didn't focus on the roots, yes,